So last week I sent round a little newsletter. If you're not on my newsletter list and you want to be, just let me know in the comments and I can add you to that. But I sent a little newsletter around about me going away with my friends to Portugal, not last weekend, but the weekend before. And it was lovely, really lovely, just to have some time away as me and not Mammy Haley, and to just reconnect with my friends and reconnect, I suppose, to me before the me version that was before children. It was really lovely. And then another thing that I done that weekend as well is that I hardly spent any time on social media, and it just reminded me about the benefits that that can have, because of my kind of job and having to market myself and being self-employed and things like that. I do tend to be on social media quite a bit, and I can find that quite difficult at times, because I'm on multiple different social media platforms, and it can be quite overwhelming having all these bits, like bits of information bombarding you. And sometimes, they're all from different channels, so they're from different people, different businesses, different groups and pages that I might be part of, and it's not necessarily what I want or need to be seeing at that moment in time. And so why is that a problem? And that is a problem for me because um, time is something that we consider to be very valuable, rightly so. And time and attention are two of the things that we struggle with these days. Very valuable, and we all seem to struggle with getting enough time and enough attention to focus on the things that are important to us. So when it comes to social media, I try to be very intentional with how I use it. I try to only be on it when I need to be on it. And outside of those times, being a lot more intentional about how I interact with it. Because it does get me feeling quite overwhelmed with all the information that may be on there. So if that is something that you struggle with, this video today will help you try to tackle that. And it's been a little bit of a journey for me, because I think I would probably go to say that in the past I have had a social media addiction. Just like to be on it all the time and like posting things and everything. And I don't post as much nowadays. Like I say, I'm very intentional about it, but it just reminded me last weekend being away with the girls that I was hardly on my phone. I was just in the moment, enjoying Portugal, being with my friends, chatting, enjoying the food, and it was great. And I felt really disconnected, and it was, well, disconnected from the wider world and really connected with who I was with. And it just really reminded me of these benefits, and I thought, why not talk about this side of it? Because decluttering isn't necessarily just the possessions in your home. I started with the possessions in my home. Most of my clients do as well. That seems to be the part of their life that it triggers them to get things moving, the physical aspects that they can visually see. But actually, as they see the benefits of that, they start to want to declutter more areas of their lives. And it can be emotional, it can like emotional aspects of your life, it can be digital aspects, it can be kind of commitments and to-dos and things like that. And this is one area that I think necessarily we forget about, because it is perhaps a little bit hidden, because everything comes in our phones now, and it's just a little thing we carry around with us, but there's so much contained in that. So actually, it's not as visual and not as apparent as it is in our home when we're tripping over things and we can't find anything. But it's just as intrusive, and overwhelming sometimes as well. So anyway, without further ado, I'll give you some tips. I've got 4 simple tips here that can just start that process of decluttering your social media, so you can feel a little bit of a lift and a little bit of a difference about how you may interact with social media. And all of these tips, I wouldn't give you tips that I've not done myself. These are all things that I've done and I regularly do, because just as you would your home, it's not a case of you declutter once and that's it. It's a case of managing your habits moving forward, and making sure that you don't let it get into the state that it was previously. So yes, by all means do these all this weekend if you want to, but it is something that you will revisit once in a while. But because you've done the work up front, it'll not be as overwhelming. Like yesterday, I decided that I was seeing too much from groups that I wasn't really involved with on Facebook. So I went through and I left a few of the groups that I just haven't been interacting with over the past 6 months. So again, it's just little things that you can just keep on top of. But it took me like 5 minutes compared to the last time where I had hundreds of groups to sort out, and it took me quite a while over a long period of time. But yeah, as I say, these are all things that you can try and see what works for you. So the first tip is mute and unfollow. Now this for me is probably the most crucial step, but it can be a little bit awkward and a little bit difficult depending on what you're unfollowing. And let's be honest, as we grow older, I mean, the past 10, 15 years, and I've been using social media, my tastes from the very beginning of me using Facebook and Instagram are very different now. So my tastes change, that's normal. My interests change. So you might find content in your feeds that are no longer relevant to you in the season of life that you're in. So just unfollow them. Don't feel guilty about it. Just take a moment and leave them. So if you find any particular people who used to be in your life and perhaps a little bit too negative, or they share views that you don't necessarily agree with and it upsets you. I know that that's happened to a lot of people I know, particularly over the past 3 years with everything that's been going on in the world. Just unfollow them. I've unfollowed a lot of people over the past few years of being in my decluttering mode, and it's fine. No one has picked up on it, no one's noticed, I haven't been confronted about it. Most of the time people don't even notice, and by doing that, it really just frees up your time for you able to focus on the things that you want to focus on, the people in your life that add value to your life. You can support and follow the causes and the groups that you want to be part of your life, rather than wasting your time and energy on all those negative things that might come up in your feed. So a great place to start with this is go through your Facebook pages, and your Facebook groups, any memberships that you're part of, any friends. Go down your friends list as well and just give them a review. Perhaps don't do them all at once, break them down so it's not as overwhelming when you first get started. But how many of those pages and groups, sorry, my phone is kicking off. Let me just put that on silent. But how many of those people on your friends list have you actually spoke to in person? How many people do you want to actually keep in touch with on there? And just be really brutal and really honest with yourself and about what you want to see in your feed. What would be your perfect feed when you log into your social media, and curate it around that. And if you're worried about upsetting someone's feelings, that they might notice that you've unfriended them or anything like that, you can just do a mute button as well. So there's mute options. You can go into the contact, and instead of unfollowing them, you can just mute them. So then you're still friends with them, but you're just not seeing anything in your feed for them. The next tip is highlighting your favourites. So it's kind of, again, the whole emphasis of decluttering. You get rid of what you don't need, and then therefore highlight the good things in your life. And that's exactly what you can do with your social media as well. So on platforms such as Instagram, you can go into accounts and you can highlight which are your favourites. Then basically what that means is that when you log into Instagram, the first accounts that come up are the ones that you want to see, the ones that you've prioritized. So do that for accounts that are either like your close family and friends that fill you full of joy, or anything that gives you inspiration. Like I've got a few positive mindset ones, and I've got a one called at Good News Movement, and that just shares all of the good news from the world rather than perhaps what you see on Good Morning Britain every time you wake up in the morning, where it's all the drama going on. It's sometimes nice to see the good things. So that helps me that when I open my app, actually I get a lot of good vibes from it, which is always a bonus rather than seeing some of the negative things popping up straight away. The third one is control your notification settings. So actually I don't have any of my apps that give me notifications. I only know that something's happened in there if I log into it and I find notifications come up. Because notifications, I used to have them set up and I used to be going constantly, and it used to just wind me up. It used to distract me as well, and I don't think I knew initially that I could turn those notifications off. But if you go into the settings of your app, and you can adjust how frequently, sorry, let me just close this. And if you go into the app itself, you can adjust the settings that you get with your notifications, and that just means that you don't get any alerts flashing up on your phone, like I say, distracting you from things that you may be doing in the moment. And that's particularly helpful, I found, in a work setting. When I worked in corporate, I turned off the notification settings of my chats and my emails, and I would only see the chats if I logged into my chat portal, and I only saw the emails if I logged into my emails, because I found it very difficult to find set amounts of time to concentrate and actually do the work I needed to do. So I would close my emails down, close the chat down, and I would focus on that. And then when I'd done that and when I was ready to digest other things, I would then open them up again. And then see it, and not having the notifications popping up on the bottom right hand corner really made a difference to me, and my productivity went through the roof when it came to that. But even in your personal life, if you want to be focusing watching a film with your kids or playing with your kids, not having those notifications pinging all the time like the ones that have just been pinging for me in the background there, are a big benefit. Another one, tip 4, my final tip is, and this might seem a little bit drastic for some people, but don't underestimate the power of this one, because it took me a long time to do this, and I was a little bit scared of it, in all honesty, which is weird to think of it now. But as I say, I did have a little bit of a social media addiction. It was nothing too serious, but I would always be connected in some way. And actually this held a little fear in me to do. But as soon as I'd done it, I was like, wow, actually, this is amazing. And what it was is I just removed the app. And I removed the app from my phone, from my iPad. And that meant that I had to be really intentional about digesting that, the information on that app. That I would have to go into it, log into it via a computer or on my phone via the browser. And I would intentionally log into it when I wanted to see something. And for me, there's no real reason why we need to be connected to social media accounts 24/7. It's not something that is necessary to life, especially if it comes at an expense of our mental health. So I would just say, just give it a go, even if you just do it for maybe one day a week or a couple of days. Maybe you take the app off for the weekend, because it stops you from just, as you're like casually scrolling, just going on, you see it and you just click on it. You don't even think about it. You weren't even intending when you open up your phone to go onto that, but because it's there right in front of you, you're like, oh, I'll just check it. By removing it, it takes that away from it. And don't get me wrong, it's like, I'm not saying that social media is completely bad. It's a tool at the end of the day. I love social media. I'm a big fan of it. But it's about how you use it and how you can be much more intentional with it. And when I done it for a couple of days initially, and then I loved the feeling of not being connected as much, that actually I deleted Facebook off my phone and I didn't put it back on for like a good 3 to 4 months. And I think I only put it on at the moment because I was doing something at an event and I needed to be connected to Facebook on my phone, so I could be sharing images and things like that and videos of the day, and it was just much easier for me to have it on the phone rather than the browser. And that was the only reason why, because it was something that was easier for me, that would have made my day easier, and that for me was a much more intentional use of the app. And in fact, I've had Facebook on my phone for a little while now. I might actually take it off again for a few days and just see how that feels. But I found that when I did put it back on, I was actually a lot less reliant on it. And even though it was on my phone, I wasn't going to it as much because I'd got out of the habit of it. So as I say, if social media isn't a problem for you, then just scroll away, just keep using it as you are. But if you find that it kind of brings you down, it pulls you down, it puts you in certain emotional states or moods, then perhaps have a look at these tips and just see what changes you can make. If you do find social media challenging at times, you might want to try one of the tips first or go the full hog and try all of them. But it will make a massive difference. As I say, when I first started doing the decluttering of my social media, I don't think I realised actually the impact it would have. I'd be like, oh, it actually won't make much difference. And I was shocked as to how much headspace and how much time that I got back in my day. It really made a difference. So anyway, hopefully that was helpful. Let me know if you've got any questions on this, or if there's any other tips or things that you have done to declutter your social media that you found helpful. Share it with the group. And I forgot to say as well, if you're watching replay, put #replay, add any questions, any comments, and I can come back to them at any time. But yeah, hope you have a lovely weekend, and I will see you in a couple of weeks. And enjoy the nice sunny weather we're going to be having as well. So bye bye.